Alright. Well, if you watched the last video I uploaded, I had picked up the new 2015 Century Arms wasr10. Of course, it didn't quite look like this when I got it. There's your stamping there, wasr10, 7.62 by 39. I've had these wasr10s before. I think they run great. I don't see why you have so many haters out there in the world on this firearm. For an AKM, runs damn good. Everyone that I've ever played with has ran flawlessly. Some of them are a little looser than others. Some are just incredible. And I've, Russian AKs. I've had just about every kind of variant you would want, from Bulgarian, Romanian, Russian. I've got a couple of the 12 gauge AK platforms, and it's just my favorite style of weapon as far as having a firearm that's gonna run for you, whether it's dirty or clean. This is the gun. I've got several of the AR-15s, and they shoot, they're accurate, but this is still my go-to gun. But back to what I was getting at. Picked this up a couple weeks ago, roughly about a week ago actually, and I got it at Sportsman's Warehouse. I want to say this gun sells for $659 or $649. I can't remember exactly, but I know it was right in the $650 zone. And it came with blonde wood, not this Bulgarian stuff. As a matter of fact, this is the Bulgarian stuff on the front, and then I've got a Bakelite grip that I threw on there, and a standard Romanian stock. All the wood that I ended up putting on this firearm came as battlefield pickup from the Balkan battlefields. Basically, apexgunparts.com sells lots of your mill surplus AK parts, SKS parts, Mausers, your mill surplus stuff. They've got it. You can get full weapons kits there, magazines, barrels. I want to say they even sell blank receivers, bolt carriers, everything you could really want. Apex Gun Parts has on their website. So a little shout out to those guys, because they always have what I need when I go on that website. And I got a really good deal on some of the wood that I picked up from those guys. And also a gas tube. A while back I was able to get a gas tube from them with a handguard for $25, and you really can't beat that. Back to the gun though. The weapon is clear. I don't know how well you can see in there, but firearm is clear. Basically, this wasr10 comes with the bayonet lug, cleaning rod, removable flash hider, which this is that slant muzzle brake, I guess more so than a flash hider. And we got 3 of these in that I saw over at Sportsman's. One was a California compliant, so the bayonet lug was cut off, and the thread protector was welded on, so you couldn't take it off and put a new muzzle brake or whatever you wanted to do on the end of that. But where they welded it, it looked like you could probably cut it off fairly easily. Not a big deal at all. These guns come laser bore sighted from the factory, and they are pretty accurate right out of the box. There's little things here and there that people like to change on these, and I'm going to kind of use this video to show y'all what I've done to mod my firearm the way I like it. And of course I have the sling mounted on there. It came with this basic sling, just a mil-spec style sling, and it also had come with a cleaning kit. Let's see if I can get the cleaning kit out of there. Oh, not so much. Not right now. It's gonna be a little bitch. Whatever. Well, there's a trap door in the buttstock here, and my spring is kind of worn out in there. So my kit, you got to kind of pop it to get that kit to come out, but the kit does slide out of there. You can kind of see it sticking out there. It did come with the cleaning kit, and it also came with a little oil bottle, which I use for extra screws and parts and stuff like that. We've got several of those laying around the house. But back to the firearm. You got stamp receiver, stamp dust cover. This dust cover is the ribbed style dust cover, which is what I prefer. It kind of gives it a nice look. The magazines this gun came with too. It come with a 1 PMag. It runs alright. It's not bad. It seemed to cycle okay. People had mixed reviews about that. And then it also comes with a Tapco 30 round mag, which is a decent mag from what I understand. These things are incredible. I've never had one before, but supposedly Tapco's on point with those magazines that they put out. Alright, so I got that top dust cover off, and basically you could probably see already when I started the video that my bolt carrier looks polished, and it is. That's one of the first things I like to do, is take the bolt carrier out of these guns, and of course drop my bolt. And what I like to do is anywhere there's metal on metal contact when the gun is cycling, of course I grabbed this filthy ass bolt, but so anywhere there's these contact points that are metal, I like to take them and kind of polish them up a little bit. You can use a 1000 grit or higher grit sandpaper, 1000 grit, 2000 grit, 1600 grit, wherever you want to be in that range. We'll take any burrs that you have on these off and make it cycle a little bit smoother. And then on this one, this spot here is where it comes into contact with the hammer when the bolt is heading in the rearward position. So basically I take that one and I machine polish that to get a little bit smoother cycling. And it also just it makes it feel better, and that's a big thing when the gun cycles smoother. Same concept here. I got the rest of the bolt carrier to finish, but you want to take these, they're kind of rough, and polish it up. You can still see there's some machine marks inside of here. It's kind of hard to see, but I'm sure you can get a glimpse of it at some point when that camera focuses. But yeah, basically the areas I like to polish on the bolt carrier, of course, would be the outside edge where you can see it from the outside. I think it gives it a really good clean look. And again, this is the spot that contacts the hammer when it's coming back in a rearward motion, and you want that to be really smooth and clean. There were some machine marks on there, it just kind of made it rough. Same thing here. I haven't really gotten this as nice as I like it. It's a heck of a lot smoother than it was, but that's where your bolt rides inside of the bolt carrier, and basically that's what locks your bolt into the barrel when it goes home. Basically it locks into place, and you got these little lugs inside of your trunnion here, and that bolt locks in, and basically when it's in locked position it looks something like that, and when the gun fires, the gas will come back and hit the piston, and it's going to push that bolt back and twists it, and it unlocks from the lug, and allows your bolt to head back, locking your hammer back, and then going forward and loading your next round of the gun. So I kind of like to polish that up. And again, where the bolt carrier rides on the rails, I like to keep that polished up pretty nice as well. And you want to keep this well lubricated as well, because this will rust on you if you're not careful with it. I didn't do anything with my recoil spring. I may end up putting an enhanced recoil spring on there. I noticed this one's a little soft, so the cycle rate's a little slow. But I did notice on the spring everything was assembled nicely, and they went with a heavier lug on here. I've seen some of these break in the past, and it looks like they're going a little heavier with these so they don't break quite as easily, so that's kind of nice as well. Wipe my hands off quick. Alright, so I got the bolt carrier the recoil spring and the top cover off, you can kind of see down inside of here. And where's my Magpul bullet? Basically on your hammer assembly, same thing. You want to polish all that up real nice. Century Arms is now including their own factory double hook trigger. It is not a G2 trigger group included in their firearms anymore. It's a Century Arms double hook trigger, and it is extremely smooth out of the box. But again, I like to polish these areas down in here, basically where your hooks ride, make that smoother, and then of course the top of the hammer where your bolt comes back to push that hammer back. You want that to be extra smooth, so you get the cleanest cycle possible. So basically what I did was I disassembled the firearm, pulled the hammer out, polished all that real good with some 1000 grit sandpaper, and then I took the Dremel with what did I use? Semi-chrome polish, which is just a inexpensive metal polish that you can get at Walmart. Yeah, it makes it real easy to use a Dremel after you get it cleaned up with the sandpaper, and just Dremel it to the polishes. You could even get it as high as a mirror finish if you wanted to, but there's no need for that, especially on the internal parts. And when it's a tool like this, it ain't got to be beautiful as long as it operates right, and that's the big importance of these firearms, is making sure that you have them operate right. You can see I polished the back side as well, where it hooks to your disconnect. Basically, when this is cycling back and locking into the disconnect, if you're still holding the trigger, this polishing this area makes it come back smoother. Again, smoothing out your cycling on the gun just makes it smoother. I can't think of a good word for that. But yeah, I mean, other than that, it's got a Tapco grip lug, which is, basically they used to weld a little nut inside of the receiver there so you could bolt your different grips on there, but now they've actually included, and I almost doubt you can see it, but they've included the Tapco grip lug, which is nice because that's another US compliant part, as well as the 1, 2, 3 US compliant parts that you have in the trigger, which is real nice. And then of course the hammer spring, which is also the trigger spring, is a US part, so that's number 4. On this one you've got basically your piston, your recoil spring, and the lug that locks your top cover on, and of course your recoil spring in place are all US made, along with the magazine, and possibly even this dust cover may be a US made part. And then the slant muzzle brake has a C stamped inside of it, which tells me it's either C for compliant or Century Arms own slant muzzle brake, and that goes as well with the front sight. If you don't have a US made one, I recommend putting one in there. It's something small that you can do to help you with your compliance parts. On this one, your takedown's pretty easy. You would normally pull up on this. I lower the hammer down forward manually. You don't want to let that slam. So basically, I'll put my thumb on it, kind of let it lower forward, and then you pull up on the safety on these, and it'll actually come up all the way to the point where it just pops out. And then you can pull your shepherd's crook out, drop your 2 pins, and your whole trigger group would come out of there. I'm not going to go into all that on this video. I don't want to make it too terribly long. This is basically just showing what Century Arms is putting out in their new wasr10 and what I think in lines of the quality of their build, and I think they did a really good job. Just kind of bear with me for a second while I get this set back into place. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and disassemble this. Basically, when you're putting your bolt into any of your AKMs or AK47 variants, or even if you've got a true style AK, basically what I like to do is turn my bolt at about a 45-degree angle from where it would normally sit. So normally it would sit like this. I turn it at about a 45-degree angle, slide it back, and then you just rotate it into place, and that lug will slide right into where it needs to be. And again, I like to keep these well lubricated. You can run this gun pretty dry, but it's still recommended to keep at least a little bit of lube on there. It makes everything run smoother and operate the way you want it to. Yep, so, you know, my initial thoughts on this firearm are excellent. The first Romanian wasr that I ever bought was just kind of beat up. It had that laminated wood like I've got on the stock here, and it was real ugly wood. But these aren't meant to be pretty. But I will say that my first Romanian wasr10, which was a 1063, which from what I understand, these are not 1063s, the new ones. They're a little better quality control. They take a little more time with these guns to make sure they're better off. But that first one that I had gotten, the front sight was canted a little bit to the left, and my gas block was canted a little bit to the right. So everything was kind of crooked on it. But the gun did operate well. It just kind of looked like it had been run over by a tank or something, which doesn't really bother me. As you can see by the finish on my gun, it's going to get dragged around in the woods and beat up. That's what it was built for. This gun did not have the canted front sight. I mean, it may be a slight bit one side or the other. Same thing with the gas block, but nothing noticeable when you look down the firearm. I don't see any lean or cant to that, whereas my first one did. I will say, out of the three that I got to kind of choose from at Sportsman's Warehouse, this one had the straighter of the three sights. The other two were kind of a little bit off to one side, but it looked like when they had bore sighted them from the factory, they got the front pin off to the opposite side to get it centered up for you, so it is going to shoot straight from the factory. I noticed that this gun was real smooth out of the box. Normally you get that kind of a hang up right there where your hammer's on there, and it's almost like you could like set the bolt on it and it would stay there, and then you could bump the gun and it closes home. This gun did not do that, nor did the other two that we had. The one was a little stiffer than the rest, but they were not like I've seen in the past. Those M&M wasr10s, M+M or whatever it is, the wasr10s that are stamped with the M+M, a lot of times they come with a rail. Those things were total pieces of junk. The ones I got to look at, we played with in the store, and we noticed that the mag well, or the cutout for your magazine, looked like it was done with a Dremel at the factory. I mean, it was just all kinds of rough, and the only magazine we could get to actually fit that AK variant was the one that came in the box. I don't know if they shaved it or what, but we tried several of the other magazines from the store, the Tapco, I think a Surefire, and we had some of the brand new PMags in, and we tried those, and they did not fit. And the only thing I could really get to fit was the 10 mag, and the thing jiggled around inside of there. And you can see this new 2015 variant. It's got real clean cuts, and they're any other than normal mag wobble. There's not a whole lot of mag wobble inside of that gun. No more than what's to be expected out of an AK variant. So again, I'm extremely pleased. You can kind of see from this angle that there's a C on the trigger. It doesn't say G2 like the old Tapco G2 trigger groups that you'd normally see come in these guns. And like I said, this trigger from the factory was extremely soft and it had a little bit of a back wall, and then it would break. After polishing it, I kind of got rid of that back wall. It just real slow creep, and then it breaks, which every AK I've ever picked up has had trigger creep, and it's to be expected. You get about a 1/4 inch, maybe a little less than a 1/4 inch creep on that. And let's see, yeah, I'd say roughly a 1/4 inch of creep on there before it breaks. And factory, this trigger was pulling about 6.5, almost 7 pounds, which is kind of stout, but on an AK it's not a big deal. Since we've polished it up, I'm getting a little closer to 4 pounds. Let's see. Yeah, so 4.5 pounds, almost 5 pounds is where it's breaking now. With my scale, it's, you know, it's not bad. I could probably get it a little better than that if I wanted to, but it's, you know, technically a battle rifle. It doesn't need to be perfect. So I'm extremely impressed. Century Arms has really upped their game. This firearm is a lot more than what I expected it. Now, of course, they're not $400 like they used to be, so you expect a little bit more out of quality control. But yeah, I'm impressed with this. I don't mind spending the extra $200 or $250 to get a good running AK, something that I know is going to operate for me, and it's not going to stop. I mean, you could lube this thing with motor oil and you'd be good to go. But don't forget to comment and subscribe, and like the video if you liked it. And if you have any questions, just leave them down, I guess, that way in the comment section, and I'll do my best to answer the questions for you. If you got any requests on videos for me to do upcoming, I'm more than willing to do video requests. I've got a good pile of firearms here, so just let me know, and if I don't have one that you want me to review, I'm sure I could get my hands on one, as long as it's not some, you know, class 3, class 4 military crap. So as far as the civilian world, I should be able to review a gun if you want. I appreciate it, guys, and I'll see y'all in the next video.